Today's video is about garden. I wanted to show you a little bit the work of the winter. I have to say it has been a bit hectic because in Aube, in this region of Champagne, we had so much water that it poured the equivalent of 1.5 years in only 1 year. So it was so wet that whatever we were doing, we could never use any machine to go through the parterres to make holes or to even seed the grass. So we had to stay for so long with no grass and only mud everywhere. And I have to say it was a pretty depressing winter in this point of view. And I will remember that starting in November, you should never go in the garden with any machine or anything, because as soon as you have a little bit of mud or you remove a bit of, you make some damage on the soil, actually you're going to keep it till at least June. So it's best to actually do all your garden work on the summer when it's actually a bit more dry and it's going to grow really quickly, instead of doing it in autumn, because you're going to enjoy at least a kind of a peaceful and clean garden for the whole winter when nothing is happening. So today we're going to talk about the parterre est, the east garden, and the south garden. The east garden is done, so you're going to have a good idea of what is going to be in the future. It's starting to grow. It's not, of course, the final one, but the work is done. And the south garden is still a project, so I'm going to discuss with you a little bit of my project, and I'm happy to get some feedbacks, because I had so much feedback so far, and I can really use it. Not automatically follow it on a literal way, but sometimes you just bring new ideas and it's going to brainstorm like this, and it's really helping. So let's start with the parterre sud, the south parterre, that is literally, like the name is saying, facing the south, is this side of the house, and this little parterre that is just in front of me, that is in between the landscape with the nature and a little bit of a English garden style, where it's going to be the fields and where there is actually already some agriculture, and the miroir d'eau and the castle is just in between that. So this garden is a little bit up, like a promontoire, a bit up, and like a belvedere. And I wanted to put, of course, a statue somewhere and to create an area, because I was in England very recently and I just discovered that something that is really, really nice when you're in a garden is each time you arrive in one of the zones of the garden, you need to be in a complete different world. And to really create this kind of ambience, this kind of a universe that is completely different from outside, you need to really put some walls. You need to insulate the area to make sure that when you arrive here, it's an entire new world with no connection with whatsoever is happening outside. And when I was in England, I went to Clifton House, which is like an incredible house. And you are walking on the path, and all of a sudden you see a beautiful statue at the end of the path. So you're like attracted to go there. There is no other attraction or distraction. There is only one thing to see. So you walk on the path, and you walk like almost 1 kilometer. And till then, you don't have any other purpose than just to see that, because there is no distraction. And when you arrive there, you admire the statue, it's very nice, and all of a sudden you look around and you have a beautiful point of view with another garden starting, and over there is another view on the same. So you decide to go to the river, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And you go down on the river and you go on a little path, and actually what is happening is you do like a full journey, just leaded by your curiosity. And you are never having all the information in a way. And you change from one world to another. It was a very perfectly regular garden, and all of a sudden you arrive to a completely natural one, and you arrive to the river, and then you take another. And this is really the secret, and I really understood that when I visited England, that you really need to create zones and to segment the space to make sure that when you are in an area, when you are in a part of the castle and you see something, you have the curiosity to go on the other side, but you don't see the full stuff right away. You need some surprise. So if you want to recreate that, these little fountains that are here needs to be hidden. You need to hear the voice of the water, but not to see it. So because it's really open, we need to put something to actually kind of hide it without clogging completely the perspective. So the idea was there is 3 parts on this parterre. One on the right, one central, one on the left, was for the 2 lateral one, right and left, to put some topiaries. I was thinking about obelisk, and to create like a field of obelisk with, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 12 obelisks, like 2.5 meters per side, and perfectly aligned, and it's going to hide a little bit the fountains and the rest behind when you're on the side. But when you're in the middle of it, you're like a little bit like in a forest of a big topiaries that can be kind of cute and bring a little bit more of a warmth and kind of more coziness to the area that can look a bit bold. And when you are there in the middle of the topiaries, then you hear the noise of the water, and just clack, you discover the two little fountains. And of course, not to kill completely the perspective, the central parts needs to be completely open to actually like keep this long perspective and the view. And at the end of the little belvedere, that is a bit more up, the idea would be to put a statue, and I have an incredible statue that I love called Méditerranée, and is on the south parterre, so it's perfect. It's a bronze from Catalan sculpture from my countryside, from where I'm from, called Mayol. So I'm happy to put a little statue of Mayol over there. And there is actually a statue of Mayol a lot in America. In America, in Los Angeles, there is many places where Mayol had some work done there. So here the parterres is finished to be planted, now it just needs to grow. The east parterre is going to be the Diane parterre, the parterre of Diane, the goddess of the forest, of the hunting. I'm not really into hunting, but the forest, I'm really into forest. So she's going to be the master of this garden here, because she's just at the entrance of the forest. And there is a beautiful statue that I purchased in Versailles, in a place called Atelier Prométhée. And they are the one who are doing the replicas of the authentic Versailles statues, because the real statue of marble of Versailles are not in the gardens anymore. They are stored in the Grande Écurie, just behind the castle, and actually it's beautiful to visit, because when you arrive it's just like a field full of beautiful statues, and they are all stored here because they're protected. And actually they do some molding of perfect molding with the powder of marble of this statue, and is really, you cannot tell the difference, and is probably not as valuable, of course, but it gives a perfect effect, and it's the same texture. When you touch it, it's the same. When you hold it, it's the same. It's definitely heavy, and it's going to age the same way, and it really gives a perfect impression, and even the details on the marble looks like it was carved. And Atelier Prométhée, I will give you the link, but it's really interesting to see what they do. So in this parterre, the idea was, it was no structure. So we talked about it before, but we wanted to create a parterre that was doing a transition with the forest, but marking also a very strict and regular shape that was actually the historical shape that was here before. So, but we didn't want to put something too strict. We wanted to put something that also invites you to the forest. So first, I didn't want to have any gravel in here. I wanted something really green, so full of grass. No alley with gravel in here. After, I wanted to mark a little bit the line of the facade. So we put 3 topiaries, 3 cones. That needs a little bit of maintenance because we just planted them. They will be tiny bit bigger and perfectly shaped some points, but they are marking giving a little bit of rhythm and of the symmetry of the facade. After, I wanted to create 2 spaces. One space close to the chateau with the fountain in the middle, and there is a jet, actually 2 meters high water jet, giving a nice sound and a perfect proportion for the area. And so this space is actually closed by the taxus. There is like a hedge of taxus closing on the side and giving actually like really separated area, creating a little alley over there. At the end of the alley, actually, we will see what we're going to put. I'm going to show you after. And kind of closing completely the space, but not completely, of course, because we want to keep the perspective. So it's open in the middle to the other part of the parterre, and the other part of the parterre is not stopped and is not delimited by if anymore, by taxis anymore. It's actually open to the forest. So you see the perfect shape of the parterre thanks to the tilleul, because all the tilleul will create like kind of a curtain, but not a curtain that arrives to the floor and block all. It's going to be a curtain hanging up with actually you can see under it. So the line will be like this, like a ribbon hanging on top of the floor at 2 meters high of a greenery ribbon like this. And you can see it through, and you can see over there under the forest, but you see where the limit is. With the little stairs to go down, we put all the charmy that I really love. And you can see actually there is here a little alley. And when you are in the alley, you're really in a different world. You are just in this little green alley. And I need to put something in the end. I was thinking about 2 little benches and maybe at least one bench here and the other one on the other alley that is literally symmetrical. And I was thinking maybe with the eave to do a little bit of a shape behind the bench to show like it's le dossier where you put your back, the back of the bench. But I was not sure 100%. Either I put this, either we put a little column with a vase. And we like, I don't know, maybe a terracotta vase or I don't know. So I'm happy to hear your suggestions. But I want something that is inviting to go there. So the bench was nice, the little column was something too. And it looks actually like a little television from here because you have literally like a frame with down the eave, up the ribbon of tilleul, and left and right the trunks of the tilleul. So I like the idea of putting something there. And now I take you from to the castle, to the second floor, the fourth floor, because from up we're going to see better the shape of what we wanted to do, and I'm pretty happy with it. And by the way, behind the statue, there is 4 columns of charmy that are 4 meters high, and we are doing now the armature, an arch with metal to actually make little arches. So it's going to be 3 little arches just surrounding the statue. So we are waiting for the charm to actually join on the top part. So here actually it's really nice, you can really appreciate it because it's where you can see from above a bit more of the shape. So the grass is starting to grow. From down you don't really see, but from up you really see that there are some patches that needs to grow. And here you can see the shape. On the left it's square, and after to join in the middle, we wanted to do something a bit round. So this is what we did, but of course on the classic style, you cannot just put a round stuff. You need to add a little square on the side. So it's like 2 little angles and a round. And it looks like it's following the curve of the fontaine. And at the same time, it gives punctuation and rhythm to the next garden, but it doesn't cut it completely.